That's 66. Yeah. Well, hi, everyone. 500 people on here and counting. And I know you want to know about the severe weather potential. Got Josh Rugger here. We got Zach Gilday. What's the latest storm threat? That is a good question, right?
Seems to be, in question.
It is very much in question. And, here's the thing, man. With these storms, there's always potential. We can realize the potential. I don't think it's done yet. But I do think that, there's some things that are kind of outweighing the thunderstorm potential that could be realized.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
I would say there is a downtrend in terms of the amount of convection that we see as we go throughout the overnight hours tonight. There is some trends from the models that show that it's possible. Now, the parameters are still in place for severe weather. There's no doubt about that. But you got to have storms that form on top of those more favorable parameters. And right now, may look like that potentially won't happen, which is a great sign.
Yeah. I'm really hoping that someone has said right here, Brian said it cooled down tonight. It did cool down. It cooled down from that little cluster of storms. It didn't last very long, but it dropped the dew point from the mid to upper 60s to the low 60s. Now, granted, we could still have some strong southerly winds, but overall, just going to have to see how this all evolves. And here's the deal. I really hope that if this, in fact, does bust, which always is a potential that maybe nothing happens, but bust in a good way for us, that no storms in terms of tornadoes take place, that would be a blessing in disguise.
Yes.
But I know at the same time, you might be angry at meteorologists saying, this was something that, was a pretty heightened severe weather threat. Well, we can only look at the potential that's there.
Yes.
And sometimes things change. So I'm not saying it's over yet. Let's kind of dive through some of the data. And they did not change the risk, by the way. The risk still stays exactly the same. But before we look at the risk, we're going to kind of look out the window. And so Zach, Josh, and I were all looking at this water vapor. And first of all, one of the things that prevented thunderstorm development, in my opinion, is this big ridge of high pressure. The ridge of high pressure really prevented thunderstorm development. In fact, you can see that dome right there. That dome is essentially basically sinking air. And that's what allowed the storms to really kind of to die off. We had a little bit of development. They tried to go, but they really didn't take off. And there you see a few of them, and then you can see that storm getting absorbed. There is additional storms that are popping up in southwest Arkansas. They don't look very impressive right now. It's kind of more like a cluster of storms. We just really don't have any energy swinging in. Now, maybe at the very end of this, if this noses in and moves over our area, then that might lead to some severe weather potential. So we'll have to continue to see what's going on.
Yep.
All right. So here's a look at the day one outlook. And James, I see your comment. I'm going to comment about that real quick. So James says lots of hype that wasn't needed. Well, was it not needed? Because what if, let's say, a tornado does come through and it's early in the morning and we didn't say anything would happen at all. And then a tornado happens and someone dies and gets killed from an early morning tornado. It's happened before. In fact, Amarillo one time in the early morning hours, a moderate risk, kind of exactly like what we have here, a dry line that was retreating, and the dry line didn't fire off any storms all night. Well, then eventually that dry line did develop an isolated storm. It did produce a tornado, and it ended up killing someone in the early morning hours. And in fact, there wasn't a meteorologist that was in place. So remember, we said that the potential is maybe this won't happen. Now, we still have to get through all the way through 7 o'clock in the morning tomorrow
Yes.
before we can say this is truly, honestly a bust.
And here's one thing I'll say too. You mentioned this or alluded to it earlier, Dan, in this Weather Live. Every single severe weather event that's ever happened or will happen has uncertainties.
Yeah.
No matter how high the risk is, nothing is certain in the weather world. And that's why we always stress there's potential, there's possibilities. We never say with 100% confidence that something's going to happen, especially when it comes to something like severe weather where things can change so rapidly.
Yeah.
And like you just said, we've still got many hours to go before all this energy swings through. So we could still have severe weather potential.
We
later on
do.
tonight.
Yeah. So if it actually does come through
Mhm.
and it does produce significant severe weather, I hope people don't say it came without warning.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
100%.
That's
Yes.
definitely. All right.
Mhm.
Let's go through some of the details here and we're going to kind of check it out. So, first of all, there's the moderate risk. This is the new outlook. The outlook has not changed at all. If we zoom in here a little bit closer, the moderate risk still continues in its location. You've got the slight that's off to the west. Now, there's thunderstorms that are starting to develop. We'll take a look at those. Late this afternoon didn't come to fruition. There was always that potential, but it's really the overnight hours that we're really going to watch. And so there's that hatched area for tornadoes. I mean, we could look at the parameters. You can see them. They're definitely in place, but those parameters have to be realized. So let's kind of look at some water vapor here. And you know, another thing too is there could be some divine intervention through this as well. You know, sometimes storms can weaken, die out. People wonder what went on. Well, then you find out a bunch of people are praying for no storms and severe weather, and rightfully so. You want everybody to be safe. You want everybody to be protected. And then at the same time, you know, on the flip side of that, you don't know why Little Rock happens and the destruction there. But one thing that does happen is that humanity comes out, the good in humanity, helping each other out, helping people out. And so, anyways, back to what we've got on this weather system. You can see that energy swinging through. And notice how it's lifting northeastward. It's just not nosing in. And this is one of the concerns in terms of the thunderstorm development. So the models are having a difficult time determining essentially which little piece of energy here is actually going to produce storms. And you know what? Right now, boy, there really isn't a whole lot that's out there. And so maybe the energy is lagging back a little bit and maybe those storms don't develop. That's definitely a possibility.
Or they develop later. And what happens is that when they develop later and the energy lags behind, the better parameters are no longer in place.
Yeah.
So it's like a race. It's like with we had all these storm systems that moved through during the wintertime, and it was always a race to see if the instability made it in.
Yeah.
Well, not with this one. We've already got the instability in place, but it's that lift that's required for thunderstorms to form. That's what's trying to race.
Now we're missing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, which is great. Well, we can miss it all we want.
Yep.
Notice the front that's starting to develop storms along the dry line. And what's interesting is that the models didn't really have many of these storms.
No.
But you can see them lining up. And so this is just classic textbook. Maybe the cap holds and chokes off the line farther south. That's a possibility. A cap, for those that don't know, it's a warm layer of air that basically is just above the ground. Typically, the temperature decreases with height as you go up. But in a temperature inversion, the temperature increases with height. And what that does is that prevents thunderstorm development. Now, Josh, you showed that graphic a lot. This is actually a key to the forecast. And it also is something that is very likely, especially with slower moving systems where the energy doesn't fling in because you've got the southwesterly flow that continues, and therefore you still have that cap. So here's what happens. There's those clouds bubbling up. Well, this is exactly kind of what we saw today. Thunderstorms trying to develop in this warm layer of air, but then you have hot, dry layer of air that's above that. If you look at the soundings, you'll see what's called an inversion. And it's essentially like a subsidence inversion where temperatures are increasing with height, the dew point's decreasing with height. That's called a subsidence inversion. Well, guess what? Subsidence is sinking air. Your cloud isn't going to rise. But as we head into the overnight hours, there's a chance that if we get more and more humid, that cap will not be as strong. And therefore, maybe a cold air in the mid-levels will come through. Now look, see how we kind of eroded that cap a little bit? Well, now this cloud is going to be able to rise above this cap. And remember, it's colder above it. So it's going to be rising all the way to the top of the atmosphere, and then there's your thunderstorm. And that's your strong thunderstorm. And because of the ingredients that are in place, that could end up producing tornado potential. So let's look at some of the models. And honestly, you look at these and you're just like, well, let's see what it has now this time. So first of all, it's got a little bit of development. It looks like in Southwest Arkansas, which actually is not too bad.
I mean,
There's the storms right there.
It
Southwest
is.
Arkansas. This is kind of like multi-cell storms right there.
They do look a little bit elevated as well at this
Yep.
time.
Those are very elevated.
Yep.
So we look to the west. There's really nothing popping up because there's no energy. Let's go back to the model. Let's see what it does. We'll step through this. And yeah, see, it tries to show a storm, but then it caps out.
Yep.
And then
Makes
that's
sense.
because the energy isn't coming in. And then you got this line of storms right here. Now, maybe that gets a little more intense.
That does look a little bit more intense.
And that's around 5 o'clock in the morning. Now, let's see what the tornado parameters do at 5 o'clock in the morning. Before we do that, we'll go through the entire line. So there's the line. There it kind of weakens. And look at how long it's sticking around. So originally, we were talking about a time frame of going to about 5 a.m.
Yep.
Now it looks like we may need to go to 8 a.m.
System keeps on slowing down.
Slowing down more and more. And when it's slowing down, guess what? That means lack of energy, a lack of lift, and that's why the storms are delayed. So that is all very, very important when we're talking about severe weather potential. And then you'll see the storm system moving off to the east. So 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And we're going to have to adjust our timing here for the news, looking at the latest. So let's go to 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. See how it's still there.
And that could be taking those significant tornado parameters out because the storms are moving through.
That's what it's doing.
Yep.
See how they're there? And then all of a sudden you're going to see this get wiped out. And the reason it's getting wiped out is because remember, that's where the storms were. So
That
5
is
a.m.,
something that we've got to watch very closely.
5 a.m. There's 5 a.m. right there.
Yeah.
So that's showing the storms that are coming through. Here's my personal opinion, though, on this.
Mhm.
And this might not be a popular opinion, but in terms of that significant tornado parameter, I don't think the ingredients are going to line up with this crashing cold front, because the cold front is going to come faster southeast once the system moves through. And what that does is that's going to undercut these storms.
Yes.
This just looks like it has undercut written all over them.
Yeah, this is a storm. If you're a storm chaser, it's your worst nightmare.
What you do have to worry about is maybe an isolated cell that develops out ahead of it.
Which still very could happen if we get those subtle pieces of
It
energy
could.
in. But when we look out the window, right? And if you don't mind, Dan, I'm gonna go back to the water vapor
Yeah.
here, right? This water vapor imagery that we had pulled up just a minute ago. You look out the window. This is looking out the window, folks. Looking at mid-level water vapor, looking at high-resolution satellite, which obviously we can't do now since it's dark. But when we look at this stuff and you look at the system right now, it is still lagging behind, and those pieces of energy are still displaced to the southwest right now. So
Still, they're getting closer.
yeah.
And once the trough ejects, maybe that'll change, but it's going to be a while.
It's a race. It's a race.
So far, Eric, I would say it's absolutely been a bust. But we're not going to say that until it gets through at about 7, 8 a.m. We just can't. Me personally, I think this will definitely be a lower end. I could be wrong about that. From what I'm seeing, I would say it's lower end. With that being said, we're not going to let our guard down.
Nope.
If storms start erupting, we're going to be on here. We're going to let you know about it.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So
We're not
it's still
going
going to be
anywhere.
a long night. I just wish that we didn't have to worry about this severe weather potential. I just wish we could just go to bed tonight. No worries. The storms are gone. Everything's fine.
It's never that simple.
It isn't.
Never
It
that
isn't.
simple.
It isn't that simple. No. Anything else you can think of that we need to show? I guess a timing here, and we're going to have to adjust this. But
We can show the current dew points again, I guess, to show what's going on.
yeah.
I don't think we should.
Okay, so that's the 18Z
That's the
still.
18Z.
It's still not done. It takes so long to update on that.
Yeah.
Let's look at this is the old graph model. Let's see if that shows
How about the
anything.
3-kilometer graph?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
See what that's got showing up here. Now,
Just
look at that. It doesn't even have the storms that are in central Arkansas.
This
Yeah.
is why there's a potential for a bust, because here's what happens. Now, one thing we're going to zoom out and see if it's even got those storms in southwest Arkansas. Before we do, though, let's show you what it shows. Nothing. Weak little line, and then that's it, and it moves out. Now, let's give it a test, though.
Test run.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take off those points.
Test you out.
Yep. Let's see what you got. Terrible.
Terrible. Well, throw that out the window.
Yep. Because that doesn't have any storms right there. See this?
Yep.
Nothing. Zip, zero, not. I mean, okay, so that's what it shows. We'll give it the benefit of the doubt. We'll go to 8:30.
Yep.
We'll go to 9. We'll go to 10.
Yeah, we'll give it even
We'll give it
that
2
much leeway.
hours.
Yes.
That's what's happening. With lightning and thunder and even some small hail.
Yeah.
So we got that. Oh, look at that. A little isolated supercell is trying to develop near Jefferson. What we mean by isolated, you can see how it's just a small little dot on the radar. These are the worst storms right here. So there's what it's doing. There's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
So why even look at this? Just go, yeah, goodbye.
Yep.
See ya.
Discounted.
Done.
Done.
Trash. Throw it out.
I did want to look at this too as well to see. Look at that. Still dew points only in the lower 60s right now over Northwest Arkansas.
And that those storms that came through at about 5 o'clock in the evening today, that really made a difference.
It did.
I've seen that before.
Yep.
It doesn't seem like it's a lot. It doesn't seem like it's a major piece of energy, but now the river valley is still warm.
Along and south of Interstate 40, this is where I think the trouble spots would be tonight for significant
Yeah.
severe potential with any isolated supercells. If you get a storm that tracks through here, that could be trouble.
Go to the current temperatures right now.
Mhm.
Just click on that right there.
This one,
No, this one right here.
this one.
So 80
Oh, yeah.
right now.
Yeah,
It's
so
still
there you
80
go.
in
It's a lot
Fort
warmer.
Smith. 80 over 65. Yeah.
So you can kind of see where the area is.
And look at the rain cooled air from that little cluster of storms.
Yep.
If you missed it, this is what it was right here. I'll show you. So we can go to satellite radar. We'll go back the last 6 hours. And so right here, a little wave of energy that moved in at about 5:30. In fact, it even flared up a brief severe storm, and then that's it. It was gone. It wasn't very long, but
That
yeah,
could kill it.
essentially weakened pretty quick.
Now, another thing too, though, is as we go further into the evening, into the overnight hours, the low level jet's going to continue to kick in. That could also push more moisture northward. So we'll watch those trends very closely. But you step outside right now, like you said, Dan, we
In
were out there.
Fayetteville.
In Fayetteville, it doesn't feel like a severe weather day anymore out there. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
And here's
Hopefully
how
that
about this. The
continues.
latest Texas Tech WRF seems to be struggling. Complete 180. Supercells are gone.
Yep.
No more rotation tracks. And not only that, but it's all that little subtle energy. Just that's the phrase of the day is subtle energy.
all the models are struggling.
But I'll tell you where they didn't struggle. You want to see where they didn't struggle?
Yep.
Watch this.
Over yonder here. Wow.
So there's a couple of raging supercells, including one that went very close to Peoria.
That was a considerable tag just a moment ago there.
Yeah, I think it weakened.
I was tracking a storm earlier. It was a PDS.
Yeah,
There
Right
you go.
there.
Yep, there's a considerable.
just southwest of Peoria. Let's show you that here. So there's the Peoria storm.
And these are the kind of storms right here that we're
These
most
are the
concerned
isolated.
about.
Yeah, this is
Yep.
this is something that we would be concerned about.
Mhm.
That's a big, big, big. That's a big one.
And that's why we've been talking about this event for several days too, because we typically don't see storms like this in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. It's very rare to have isolated supercells set up over our area. And so that's why we're going to be here all night, Dan. And
We'll see
Zach,
what happens.
That's why we're going
But when the front comes in like this
that's when
and it crashes, see how none of those are tornado warned?
just severe
Not a
weather
single
storms.
one. That would be just a noisy night with a lot of storms and stuff like that. Someone said, "Baby, it's subtle energy." That's going to be a new Lado song. It's subtle energy,
I was gonna say-
or the song "Big Big Energy." Pure energy. Remember pure energy? This is not pure energy.
I was gonna say though, I just wanted to mention this.
Yeah.
The Facebook Live intro is a bop. And,
You like that?
I was looking through it. I believe Megadeth was a part of the band.
No, that's gonna be a little more Slipknot.
No way.
That's not Slipknot. That's
Zach
not,
approves.
even,
that's
not even close.
not even
Zach
close.
approves.
Yeah. All right, let's show you this real quick. The timing. Can you update for Northwest Arkansas? Just joining, Stephanie. So here's the timing of this. We've got it going late evening. Right now we're at 40%, but there's really not much happening, so we might need to drop that down.
Probably will.
There has been a thunderstorm watch that was issued just now.
A severe
But it
thunderstorm.
is to the northwest of us. It's along that line. It's not for us. And so we're going to be looking at that here. So there you can actually see the watch that was issued right at the end here. There it is. Not even close to us. It goes till 3 a.m. My goodness.
Wow.
Everything is really, really slow. This
Long
could
night.
last all the way through the morning after sunrise.
Yeah, unfortunately,
So we'll see what happens,
Wow.
honestly.
my body is cringing. It's not ready.
Yeah, we're not even close
Yeah.
to done either. We're
Yeah.
going to be working your shift. You're working ours.
Yay!
Yeah. Tornado of souls. Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Wait, is that actual song?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know
But
that.
now I'm saved in the eye of a tornado. Yeah, that's a good song. New MD for Arkansas, I believe. We shall see. Nope, not yet.
Not quite.
The new MD is going to be a little bit northwest. of
There is a mesoscale discussion number 469 that was issued just 2 minutes ago
for
for
LZK.
LZK. And not, we're probably going to be in between everything.
Wait, never mind. It's loaded and it's south. Yep.
They'll show up.
Yeah, it takes a little while for those to show up. Speaking of that, where is my tornado tie? I had it on. I got the lightning tie. I don't want to give mixed messaging, but the potential is still there. I'm still going to go with the tornado tie.
There, yes.
I was wearing it. I'm still going with it.
Tornado potential still there, but there's a down.
Here's a question that's been asked several times. Sorry, I haven't been able to answer. I've been jamming out to Megadeth. Does higher elevation lower tornado risk? No. Eureka Springs there. That can absolutely happen. It just happens to be where the storms go.
Yes.
Did I hear right that the threat is not too bad as expected? Well, the threat is there. Right now, things aren't happening as expected. I guess really kind of they are.
It kind of is.
We never said it would be until very late tonight into the early morning hours tomorrow. So we
Yes.
haven't even gotten to midnight yet.
Yes. The reason why things I think have downtrended a little bit, in the future, is because when we're looking out the window, when we're looking at these pieces of energy right now, they're just not in place.
No.
Yeah, they're not moving fast enough right now for that potential to be realized maybe at the time frame we thought it would be.
Yeah.
There is still the threat, certainly, and things can rapidly change with these events. We know that. But there is a downtrend for sure.
So here's the deal. Can you go to sleep without worrying? If you got our app and you have it on non-silent notifications, we will push out only if it's necessary a notification saying storms have developed. This is going to be a bad night, and we're going to push that out. And then you're going to hear from your weather authority team. This is Chief Meteorologist Dan Scoff with a weather update.
Yes.
That's what you're
You
going
probably
to
show
hear.
that QR code, Dan, right?
Yeah,
very
we
loud.
can. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Which is funny because if you're watching on your phone, it's kind of hard to scan a code when it's on your phone.
Yeah, that's true.
but maybe someone else is there.
Little phone action.
So yeah, let's show you the QR code here for scanning that. Weather on the go.
Yeah.
This will give you your QR code. You can download it anytime. It's got all the stuff.
And you can find it on the Google Play and Apple App
Uh-huh.
Store by just searching it up.
Lightning has been detected in your area. That's right. There's the app right there, Your Weather Authority app which, by the way, you got all that stuff. So lightning has been detected. Yeah, it's good. It alerts you and all that stuff. What else?
My favorite Dan Scoff quote is the one from that promo that was Emmy nominated.
Dear winner.
Well, that's one of the best
Yeah.
ones, but the one with Alexander, Mike, and Rick, where you guys are like, a tornado warning has been issued for Benton County, and then
Yeah.
that's some intense lightning, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Woo!
Woo!
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah.
Iowa may take the cake for the most tornadoes this year. They've been getting hammered. They absolutely have. And they had some pretty incredible storms. So why did the storms happen there and not here? Well, let's go ahead and we'll show that here. A lot of energy.
Yeah.
You can see
That's
it
where all
right
the
there.
lift is.
There's also a warm front too.
Mhm.
And that's right on the nose of a gradient. So that's just where the storms popped.
Wow. Explosive. And look at that snow just to the north of Omaha, too, northwest. Of
And
Omaha.
look at the explosion of the line. So we talked about us for night, but the problem is we can't show any models because they just don't show anything. So we shall see what happens. That's an old model, but that shows a little isolated supercell. Here's one that updates every hour, and it'll have totally playing the computer model hokey pokey.
Yeah, no doubt.
You put the supercells in, you take the supercells out, you take the supercells back in, and you shake your head in doubt.
I like it.
Computer model hokey pokey when you turn your cast around. That's what it's all about.
Baja Blast.
I have a headache, and I can feel the weather coming in. Dan, are you having Taco Bell Mountain Dew? I've had a sleepover tonight. You better believe it.
Sleepover.
I already crushed Pickleman's pizza.
And multiple cookies as well from Crumble
Yeah.
and Pickleman's.
Yeah, Crumble, they helped out.
Yeah. Clutch.
I'll never leave home without it. Cool. Awesome. So just to reiterate, we're getting close to 9:00 news. I got to start getting ready because we're 7 minutes out.
Yeah.
We are going to keep you updated on the storm potential. We'll do another Facebook Live at 10. That will be before you guys go to bed. We'll let you know, hey, you can go to bed. It's fine. We'll wake you up if the storms are coming in. You don't have to worry about staying up. We'll wake you up. But
Yeah.
make sure your phone is on sound where, it'll alert you.
No doubt.
Because I know sometimes that can, be tough to wake up when it's
Yeah.
silent. So
That's why we say multiple ways to receive
ooh,
warnings.
half-baked cookies is good too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Half-baked cookies is good. Subway cookies are underrated in my opinion.
They are underrated, but the sandwiches are mid.
Yeah. All right, we got to run. We'll see you guys later. 80% chance of a tornado watch for southern Arkansas. And you know why? That's where that energy popped up. Let's take a look at that here on that MD real fast. Josh, do you have a stash of Baja Blast?
Oh, you know it. You know it. And
There's that 80% chance of a tornado watch.
we're in between both MDs.
Yep.
It's crazy.
All right. We'll keep you guys safe. We'll let you know more after the 10. So join us for a late night edition of Facebook Live. Or should we say early for you? I have no idea.
That's early for me. That's
All right.
for sure.
We'll see you.
Baja Blast.